Hello and welcome to the second video. Today we will look on some functionality of NetEdit on how to edit the network. So I will just open up the simulation again by clicking on the configuration file. And if we want to edit the network, we can open it up with NetEdit or use here the shortcut Control T. And then it will open up in the editing software. And here we have three super modes: the network mode, the demand mode, and the data mode. And we will focus on the super mode network because we want to change things in the network. The first mode we have here is the inspect mode. Here I can just simply click a junction or click an edge, and then I will see here on the left side all the attributes of this edge. So for example, what the maximum speed is in meters per second, and what types of vehicles are allowed on it, and I could change it here if I would like to. Then we have the delete mode. By simply clicking on an edge, this edge will be deleted. And I can also say that I want to delete geometry points only. Then I can click this pink points here, and the shape of such edges will be changed. In the select mode, I can say that I select edges or junctions, and if I do a shift click on an edge, I can also select just single lanes. And with shift and then doing an area, I can also say that I select everything that is included in this rectangle. And I can also remove things from my selections, again, similar to this. And yeah, there are a lot of more options that you can do here. For example, it's just select those that match certain attributes and stuff like that. Then I can say that I use the inspect mode on top of my selection, and I click the whole inspect the whole selection. And here I can, for example, see directly what kinds of maximum speeds I have on all these edges, and I could change this here at one place for all of them. I can undo my selection by just pressing the escape key, and then we will look at the move mode. When I am in move mode, I can say that I just move junctions around, and by clicking on geometry points, I can move them. And if I click somewhere on an edge where we don't have a geometry point, a new one will be created. And yeah, I also can decide on how edges go exactly into a junction by doing shift click at the end of an edge. And then I will get this half geometry point and can adjust here this. Yeah, and this is also similarly possible at the start. And I can also remove them again and by doing a shift click again. In the create edge mode, I can click on a source node and click on a target node, and then an edge will be created. And yeah, I can also say that I do directly bidirectional and create it like this. And there's also the chain mode where I can directly create edges in a row. And here I'm creating from the default edge template, but I also can use other templates, or I could change the attributes here with inspect mode on my new created edge. In the set connection mode, we can decide on which connections are possible on a junction. So for example, if I click here on an incoming lane, we can see that we have three possible target lanes, and also which is also explained here in this information box, that we can turn right, turn left, and do a U-turn. And if I would, for example, click now here at this lane, the U-turn wouldn't be allowed anymore, and I can save this by just pressing enter. And yeah, this way I could, for example, forbid U-turns at this junction. And it's also possible to inspect these connections directly and change parameters for them. And I can do this in inspect mode. When I set show connections over junctions, then I have them showed and can inspect them. And there I can also change some parameters for connections. So for example, here this keep clear parameter determines what happens when there is a jump. If the vehicles try to keep the junction clear. And with this uncontrolled parameter, I can set that when I build a traffic light on this junction, that this connection isn't included in the traffic light. Yeah, we can see this when we go here in the traffic light mode, and I click on this junction and say that I want to create a traffic light on it. We can see that this right turning here isn't included in the traffic light. And here on the left, I can just simply go through all the different phases of the traffic light. It also would be possible to add new phases, and I can change here also some durations. For example, this one here, and I could change the states by either just entering different characters here in the string, or I can simply say that I click on with a right click on one of these connections here and change it, for example, to red. And we can see here that there are different types of green. We have green minor and green major. And a green minor means that the vehicle on it might have to give way of rule to other traffic participants. So for example, here we can see that here the right turners have a might to give a caution to the pedestrians crossing here. Okay, I will just cancel this and then go to the crossing mode. To show you how to create a new crossing, I will just delete this crossing here by inspecting it and pressing delete. And then I will go back in Z crossing mode and select the junction where I would like to create a crossing, and click the edges that I would like, the lanes that I would like to cross. And with enter, I confirm and create a new crossing. And yeah, as we can see here, this has a different color, and this is due to one parameter. If I click here on this crossing, we can see here this priority parameter is set to true, and I just change it here to false, then it gets the same color. And yeah, priority true means that the vehicles have to wait and the pedestrians have the priority. Yeah, so far to some options from the modes here that I wanted to show you. But there's some additional functionality that is important. For example, if I go here on this edge again, I could do here lane operations and say add restricted lane and add directly fast sidewalk on it. And I also could do this for the other direction. And what's also possible is that I go on with a right click on an edge and say that I do split edge here. So this makes it possible to fastly generate a new junction somewhere on an edge. And another important functionality is merging junctions. So if I would just select this junction here, you would see that there are some parts that aren't selected. So for example, this here is another junction, and this here is also another junction. So somehow this junction is modeled as 3 junctions, and if I want to model this at 1 junctions, I can just say that I merge them. And this can be done by doing processing join selection junctions, or by just pressing Fn F7, and then they will all get 1 junction. And what's also often important is that sometimes junctions are displayed just as these red dots. And if I want to see how they really would look like when they are fully generated, I can recompute the junctions here, compute junctions, and I can just type F5 for this, and then it will compute the junctions again, and I can see how they would look. And sometimes I need to change the shape of such junctions, and I can do this by doing a right click on a junction and then saying set custom junction shape, and then I could change the shape here to whatever I would like it to be and save it by just leaving it as it is. Okay, and what's also possible sometimes when we have really similar edges and just two edges at a junction, we can replace the junction by a geometry point. Okay, so far to show you some operations that we can do with NetEdit. Of course, there is way more, and you can also read this up in the documentation of NetEdit. And yeah, what's also important to mention is that whenever you change something in your network and save it, it might be the case that some of the trips and routes that you had use some edges or some junctions that don't exist anymore, and to make your routes consistent again, you have to close the SUMO GUI again and run the complete build script, and then you can open up the configuration file again. So open up the simulation, and then it will work again.